If we're ever lucky enough to contact extraterrestrial intelligence, one of the problems is going to be communicating with them, or possibly even recognizing that what they're saying, whatever form that takes, is communication. The problems with such contact, not just between different cultures, but between different species, was dealt with in one of the most iconic episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Darmok. If you doubt its iconic status, go up to any Star Trek fan and say, "Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra," and see what happens. I can almost guarantee you that they'll respond with "Shaka and the walls fell," or possibly "Gilgamesh and Enkidu at Uruk." If they say the last, they'll probably follow it up by bursting into tears. Am I right, Trek fans? The Tamarians, it turns out, speak a language in myth-based metaphor. The classic phrase, "Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra," represents two people coming together to fight a common foe. If you don't understand the myths, the phrase makes no sense. As Deanna Troi points out in the episode, the phrase "Juliet on the balcony" might represent doomed love. But if you don't know the story, it doesn't mean anything. Much as I love this episode, and like many TNG fans, ugly cry at the end of it, as a linguist, I've always found it a little implausible, especially since the Tamarians were a technological race. How would you do something totally practical like ask for the torque wrench in myth? If everything you said had to be based on some arcane analogy from a folk tale, it's hard to see how you would fashion anything more complicated than a slingshot. A more realistic take on the whole alien communication thing, although in my opinion not nearly as good a story, was the 2016 movie Arrival, in which the aliens communicate by drawing in the air patterns that look to me a little bit like circular Gallifreyan from Doctor Who. A linguist, played by Amy Adams, is hired to decipher what the aliens are saying and, if possible, head off a war. The normal human assumption being, if I don't know your motives, they must be bad. The cool thing about the movie is that its creators came up with a mode of alien communication that was totally unlike anything we have here on Earth, and in fact even shares little with human writing. The topic comes up because of a paper by Christine Cuskley in Nature that looks at the human capacity for elucidating patterns, not just from language, but from things that are non-language based symbolism and possibly not even symbolic in nature at all, like the tones of a slide whistle. It turns out we can do this pretty well even if we have no referent for meaning. Repeated experiments have shown that we're pretty good at abstracting and generalizing patterns from what we're given, no matter what form it takes. One of Cuskley's experiments involved giving people words for various shapes in a video, shapes that differed in color or type or movement. And people were very good at learning to associate a particular part of a word with a particular feature of the shape. For example, the suffix "plo" meant that the shape was bouncing. Cuskley writes, "A cornerstone of experimental studies in language evolution has been iterated artificial language learning. Studies where participants learn of artificial alien languages, and the product of their learning is then passed on to other participants successively. Results over the last decade show that some defining features of human language can arise under these experimental conditions, which use iteration to simulate processes of cultural transmission. These results have implications for how forms and modalities might constrain language systems and demonstrate how the use of truly novel alien forms might be extended to address new questions in cultural and linguistic evolution." All of which makes me hopeful that if we actually ever do confront a situation like the one in Arrival, we might actually have a prayer of a chance of figuring out what the aliens are saying. Can you imagine how exciting that would be? Not only deciphering an alien language, something that would give linguists like me multiple orgasms, but to be able to try and figure out what's going on in the brains, or the equivalent, in a species that shared nothing at all with human biology. Man, if we find it hard to understand how other humans in different cultures think, imagine how hard this would be. It would stretch our capacity to the limit. It would also knock us even further away from the idea that human thoughts, desires, and biology, in fact everything, lie at the center of the universe. Which is all to the good. We humans could use a little more humility. Maybe it would allow us to take our place in the cosmos with a bit more grace than we're showing right now. Who knows? Maybe we could even look an alien in the eye and say Picard and Dathan at El Adrel, and mean it. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Our resources are down there, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.